We need a pickup.
Hang on.
Grab the line.
Welcome back to the Bomb Batch, Volume 6. All right, we're here to talk about episodes 5, 6, 7, 8 of Season 2 of The Bad Batch. Let's start with episode 5, Entombed. And Tim, I have a confession. I watched all these episodes yesterday, right? And I completely forgot the plot of episode 5. Just no memory. Please help me.
That's fair. Episode 5 sort of begins with the Wanda Sykes character taking them on this mission to do a treasure hunt because they find a compass that's going to take them to a fancy treasure. And basically, the episode is sort of them doing an Uncharted, going through this magic cave, and it ends up turning into this mech that is basically a Miyazaki monster, which was kind of cool. And then they have to stop the mech by inserting the treasure that they found, and that basically nullifies the treasure, which I think it was Tech comments on. So now we're 0 for 2 on treasure hunting.
I do remember that gag, and I remember laughing at that.
So yeah, it's just kind of more of them, just another Odd Job, I guess, episode, but more on like Treasure Hunter edition.
Another adventure of the week, which, you know, competent, it's fun, it's fine. It's not memorable. It's not memorable. And I don't necessarily mean that as an insult, though it kind of is one, because we can't even manage to be memorable. The most memorable thing about this show, Tim, is that I clicked on the writer of its Wikipedia page, Christopher Yost, and he's a St. Louis native, so one of our own, one of our known. He also was the showrunner for the live-action Cowboy Bebop show, so we do not claim him. We do not claim him. We do not claim him.
You'll never know true power until you've tasted the testicles of a man who's wronged you.
It's a fun episode. Good characterizations, as always. The adventure of the week stuff, even though I'm always one to say I want TV to be TV again, you know, with individualized episodes with the same characters that just take through an overarching plot. I miss when TV was TV and not long movies, you know? Mm-hmm. And even though I want TV to be TV again, the TV is TV again thing of the Bad Batch with the adventure of the week stuff is just not super memorable. At least so far. The stuff that ties into the bigger overarching plot to me is much more memorable.
Yeah, like we're gonna get into it more later, but definitely episodes 7 and 8 are the big episodes of this particular batch.
It's fun. It's fine. I do remember having a good time watching it, even if I just haven't really retained any of it.
I mean, sometimes you just need TV to have on in the background, and that's kind of what this episode is.
You know what? And props to that. If you can just not be, like, offensively bad, that's good. Episode 6?
Episode 6.
Tribe! Tim, the return of Glup Shido.
Gunji Supremacy.
Gunji Supremacy. I'm just going to get this part out of the way. Dave Filoni, I love you. I think you are one of the best things to happen to Star Wars since George Lucas made it. You have a lot of great, interesting ideas. You're responsible for the Clone Wars. For the love of God, for every TV show you make, can you do something other than have every character you've ever created cameo in them? It's getting kind of annoying. It was okay here because Wookiee Jedi is cool.
Yeah, I absolutely want to see more Wookiee Jedi.
I do too, but...
Give him his own, like, live-action Disney Plus show where he's an adult.
My whole thing is, would this show fundamentally change if it was just some other random Wookiee Padawan instead of the specific one we saw?
But why would they do that?
Fair point, because they already have one, but the twins that showed up last season from Clone Wars, that was like the biggest glup shido this show's had so far. This one's less offensive in comparison. This is a fun episode, returning the Wookiee to his family, especially because the Jedi typically... It's big, like, wealthy white couple goes to China to adopt a Chinese baby vibes. That Chinese baby growing up trying to find their parents. The institution that put you there intentionally makes that very difficult. I don't know
Yeah.
why I made that comparison, but it makes sense, right?
I guess.
You probably remember this episode better than me. I really remember 7 and 8 better, so you go ahead and let me know.
I mean, that already kind of covered the broad strokes of it. Like, it's just sort of an episode about them going to Kashyyyk and trying to stop bad guys from hurting the Wookiees and all that jazz.
Yeah, it's fun. The Bad Batch do another adventure. This one's cooler because it's always cool when the lightsaber shows up in these shows. I think this is the first lightsaber ignited in the show so far.
It might be.
Which is a strength of this show. This show and Andor have one great thing in common. No lightsabers. Which is a breath of fresh air relative to a lot of Star Wars content lately.
Yeah.
It's a good, fun episode. I wish I had more to say. It's just these Adventure of the Week episodes are very much just a fun adventure for you. Episode 7.
Episode 7.
The Clone Conspiracy. Here's my take, Tim. This is the best episode of the show so far in both seasons. And that's kind of a shame considering this is the one episode in the entire show that features none of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I think it's close between this and the episode that comes right after, which does have the Bad Batch.
Yes.
But this is a very good setup to what's coming in episode 8. And, like, we're seeing more and more of what's been set up with, like, episode 3 of the season, where we're seeing the Republic clones starting to feel a little remorse about the things that they did under Order 66.
Which we kind of saw with Cody when he defected in an earlier episode.
Yeah. That and, like, all of the stuff about the recruitment bill that's really coming into play here, and, like, how the clones are they're not for it, and we're getting into all the clones' rights stuff.
Deeply fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and, like, we see somebody get assassinated at the beginning of the episode.
Fucking nuts. We have a guy fucking do the cyanide pill thing essentially at the end, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this episode gets dark. Like, which is funny because the last 2 episodes were like fun, crazy little adventures with the Bad Batch, and this one it's like a political soldier kills himself in the name of the Empire.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? This is a great episode. This is what the prequel should have been with this type of political intrigue. This episode does the Star Wars politics, but interesting, talking about legislation and the advancements of the empires. By the way, the Emperor, shitty Emperor. Why does he still need the Senate to pass legislation? What makes him different from his previous role as Chancellor? Can't you just unilaterally enact laws?
He could.
I guess he won't. I guess it's still early enough in the Empire that he kind of needs everyone on his side. How they want to enact the Empire army of military recruitment. Now, I wonder if this show is going to later deal on the line with the conscription that the Empire does. Conscription, because this isn't a very common term. Conscription is essentially a military draft. Forced service in military. More Rex is always cool. It's always, I remember after, it took me like watching 5 seasons of the Clone Wars to realize he wasn't bald, he just had a blonde buzz cut. So it's always cool to see him. I like the Senator Rio Chuchi. He's always cool. She's a cool character. Bail Organa's in this. It's hard for me to put into words, but this is a really dark, interesting episode. Like the idea of clone rights, they deserve a pension. What do we do? Because they're not just droids. These are living, breathing human beings that the Republic created. I know there's the whole, well, I never asked to be born thing that you hear people say. These people really didn't ask to be born. It's kind of fucked. And now that there's no war for them to fight, what do you do with them? It's very interesting.
Yeah, they were created for a purpose, and now that that's been filled, they're just kind of being discarded. And like that also, you know, plays into like real life situations of veterans kind of being forced into homelessness.
Yeah, yeah. This episode kind of comes out of nowhere to deal with some serious, real political, like real life political implications.
Yeah.
And it's for the better for it, I think, anyway. But this is my favorite episode of the show by far. Like, and don't get me wrong, episode 8, which we're about to get into, is also really great. But I think we can both agree that these 2 episodes are better than anything in the first half of season 2 and better than anything in season 1, right?
I would say that's a fair take.
I really wish they didn't air them all at once, though, because imagine if at the cliffhanger of 7 you had to wait a week. That would have been cooler.
Yeah.
Episode 8?
Episode 8.
Truth and Consequences. You seem to like this episode more than 7, is that so?
I don't know if I would say more, but I would say it's close between the two of them. I think this is a really good way of showing that A plot tie into the B plot, which I think is what is part of what makes it really strong. We see the Bad Batch kind of come into the fold of what's happening with all of this legislation and the stuff with the Republic loans. I guess I'll just kind of go right into the big part. Right at the end, they find proof that Rampart has been doing dirty deeds and that he ransacked that whole planet, destroyed it with the Star Destroyers. And then as soon as that happens, Big Boy Palpatine comes up. And
I fucking love, by the way, that like a giant siren comes off when he's about to come up. Like,
yeah.
Hey, the big boy's about to show up. I hope they have that in like Congress when Joe Biden shows up. A giant alarm.
Make way for Dark Helmet. All rise in the presence of Dark Helmet.
Yeah, and then they just kind of are like, yeah, the cowardly actions of Rampart go against our empire. We will deal with him. And then they turn it into them forcing in the Stormtrooper Act, which is what they wanted to do in the first place. But I do want to say right away, our boy Ian McDiarmid, he's back. I was wondering if he was going to be the voice, because if you remember in the first episode, that's the only time we've heard him before in this show, and it was literally audio from Revenge of the Sith. So I was like, is it gonna be him? Is it gonna be him? And I waited for him to speak, and then it was him. So that was very cool. The most recent, the only of the Disney Palpatine cameos that was good.
I pretty much agree. The fact that the Bad Batch fights to try and get this footage, fights to try and get the senator what she wants in order to get the clones' rights, and then wind up fucking losing anyway is really depressing. It's a great episode. It's really fun. I like Rampart finally getting his just desserts. Because, you know what? That is one of the most punchable Star Wars characters we've ever had. Just very punchable guy. He's a sniveling little dork, you know? Even the way he talks, he's like, well, you must know I was off-world. Like, fuck you! I don't like you. You're like fake British, the worst type of thing. British people. Imagine trying to pretend to be a British people. Good episode, great episode. It's a great 2-part little arc that I think really makes me excited to see what the second half of the season looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited for these next batch of 4 episodes?
Yeah, after these last 2 episodes, I'm definitely excited to see where they go with this plot.
I'm excited to see how Crosshair comes back into play. He's been in 1 episode so far, and they're holding back on him, and I feel like there's a reason for it. But you know who else is holding back something? You, the person watching this edition of The Bomb Batch. Thank you so very much for watching, guys. If you like this video, go ahead and how about you go down in the comment section below. Let me know. What do you think of episodes 5, 6, and 7, 8 of The Bad Batch? Do you think episode 7 or 8 is better? Do you think it's the best of the show? And do you think British people deserve rights? Comment below and let me know. And while you're down there, hit the like button so we know how much you like us. Hit the subscribe button so we know how much you love us. And hit the bell icon so you can know exactly when we upload new videos. Thank you so very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Farewell.
Bye.
Just slid my ticket across the table and I said, sorry guys, I gotta see about a girl.